You are listening to the Boss Experience Podcast, a podcast with conversations about business growth, self-development, and maintaining a mindset to achieve business success. My name is Michelle Davis, and I am a business strategist and coach, and I am your host. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Boss Experience Podcast. My name is Michelle Davis, and I'm your host. And I am here with special guest, Kate Moir. Wave, Kate! All the way from Canada. So this is so exciting. I love Canada. I love Canadians, right? They're always so smiley and friendly. But Kate is here. She's a mom. She's a mentor to other busy moms. She's an international bestseller. And she's a really awesome person. So I'm excited to be with her today. And today she's talking about how to break free from your 9 to 5 by monetizing 5-minute pockets of your day. So I am excited to know what that's about because I'm also a mom and my kid is much older, 16, but nevertheless, these are all tips that any mom can use because we're all busy. And I think this topic is really, really important because I think a lot of people, it's really for those people that are stuck. There's a lot of people in their cubicles, in their office, or maybe they're working from home and being called back into the office, whatever the case is. They feel stuck. And I think the greatest way you can empower yourself is to give yourself options, because there's nothing worse than to be mistreated at work where you spend a great deal of your time. There's nothing worse than to be laid off or let go, and you have nothing waiting in the wings for you. You have no options. Maybe you had a lot of big ideas, and for whatever reason, you didn't act on them. And so I think, what you have to say is really important, Kate, because people think they don't have the time. They don't have the time, and they kind of sit there and they don't know where to start, and they don't know what to do. And so I think you're going to fill a big void for busy people. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but Kate is also a podcaster too. And so her podcast, which is, what's the name again?
The Momboss Mentor.
The Momboss Mentor is designed to help moms actually fit, not only listening to her podcast in like 15 blocks. So she actually operates around helping people be more organized with limited time, but really giving moms these little gems within 15 minutes so they can come, they can listen to her, and they can go back to being, running around after toddlers or their kiddos or whatever it is that they're doing. So I'm so happy to have Kate here. So Kate, before we get into how to start your business and really, work on your business in those 5-minute blocks, what actually inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's such a good question. I feel like even as a kid, I was the person who would find some kind of way to make money on the block. Like I'd wash my neighbor's car and pick berries from one lady's tree and sell them to the other neighbor. Like I always had kind of an entrepreneur spirit in me, but, go through the motions, go to university, get the 9 to 5 job. And I kind of just found myself on this trajectory of the government employee. And so I'll never forget the day. It was September 21st, 2015. I was sitting in the rocking chair, nursing my 1-year-old. I had another one on the way, and it was like the 367th day in a row of just like nursing a baby, and I'm like, I have no hobbies. I go to work, I come home, I nurse my child, I do the things, and I go to bed. And that was kind of my life. And I thought there's got to be something more. And so what kind of hobby could I do? And that's when I kind of realized that I've always been a person who my hobby is something that is monetized, something that is productive in adding to the family's bottom line. That's just my personality. And so I decided to monetize my hobby and become an entrepreneur, really within those 5-minute pockets before picking up my daughter from daycare or on my lunch break or my coffee break. Like literally within those little pockets throughout your day, I started building my business day after day. And it spiraled into what it is today. So I'm really, I guess, just organically became an entrepreneur with a little bit of rationale in there, I guess.
Coming from, a kind of a place where, I have, having a child, you're there, especially if you have the, benefit of being able to be home with your child. People think that, child rearing is not work and that being a stay-at-home mom is not work. And when my daughter was first born, probably the first year I was able to stay home with her. But, it's a very lonely time too. And your mind is just there with it's just kids and it's like this routine and you can kind of you lose yourself in it basically. So so many moms don't always look to a hobby. Sometimes they just get really frustrated and they're trying to figure out like, oh my god, like can I have a break, and so it could be very stressful. So I just want to mention that. So when you went back to work, what was that like for you?
Yeah. So when I went back to work, my first child was one. So in Canada, we get anywhere from 12 to 18 months off. And so I went back to work just about 10 and a half months in. I'm a workaholic, like I like to work. And so I went back to work. And as you said, I'm kind of going out of my mind being home all day. I love stay at home moms. They have a special skill set because that was not my skill set. That was not my thing. So I love the balance of work and family life. And so when I went back to work, it was kind of, you know, it got into that rut of being home every day after. My husband would go golfing, he'd go play hockey, he'd had all his hobbies, and I had no hobbies because I had let everything slide, being pregnant and then being at home for, almost a year. I didn't really have a group of people. We had moved to a new town, so there was just like very isolating. And so I started this little business, little side gig, and it was kind of a guilt-free time that I could go and I could leave the house and I could meet people and I felt good about it because I wasn't spending money, I was earning money. So I didn't feel the guilt that some moms feel, which is real guilt. Like, like I'm taking time not only away from the family, but I'm going out to spend money. I felt like, okay, I'm going out, but at least I'm making money, I'm bringing money home. And that was just something in my mind that not everyone feels, but that was my issue. And so at first it was just kind of fun, but then it kind of grew, like it snowballed and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And so when I had my second daughter, about 6 months later, I had this full blown business that was starting to blossom into a real company. And so I decided for my second child to kind of balance motherhood with building a business while I didn't have the pressure of working 9 to 5. And it blossomed from, a team of 4 people to a team of 75 people. So that is a different challenge. When you'll have like a small little group or a small team or a small business, you really can kind of do a little bit of everything. But when it becomes this full blown thing, like almost like an actual part-time or full-time job. Now it was a full-time job, a full-time side gig job, and a full-time 2 kids under 2. Plus, where do you fit yourself in there too? So there was a period of struggle. And I don't want to skip over that struggle because sometimes I feel like people think I have to do it all and I have to be the superhuman and I have to be perfect and I have to have a perfect house and gotta look perfect and my kids have to look perfect. And I will tell you, none of us were perfect. My house was not perfect. My kids, they're dressed, they're clean, they're fed, they're good. Like my level of standards was not everybody was matching with perfect bows in our hair. It was we were presentable. We're all taken care of and we're happy. At the end of the day, like that was our standard. And so if anyone right now is feeling overwhelmed and feeling like suffocating, I was there when I had a full-time job that was getting super stressful. My side gig was now like 150 people on my team. And I remember driving to a meeting for work and I called and I said, I'm not coming to the meeting. I'm going to the hospital. I'm pretty sure I'm having a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And I called my husband and I said, you need to meet me at the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack. And so I went to the hospital and they checked everything and my blood pressure was so high that it was like almost like a heart attack. It was more of a panic attack because I was feeling so suffocated because I had created this amazing business, but was yet not ready to let go of, something that was secure and safe in the 9 to 5. And so I went through a period of about a month of planning and strategizing because I'm not a knee jerk reaction kind of person. I'm a very well thought out and calculated. And so, went to the accountant, talked to my husband, talked to other people who had made the switch and the jump from a secure 9 to 5 job to full-time entrepreneur. But I said, at the end of the day, all the calculations said 9 to 5 caps me here. My ceiling is only so high. It can't get past that because I would have to make some other risky moves. Where by being my own boss, my ceiling is unlimited. I can do whatever it is, right? Because I'm in control of my own destiny and my own income streams and how far I can grow or become. And so that was kind of a freeing moment of like 30 days or a couple of weeks of like really stressful calculations and discussions to finally break free.
And I think you bring up a really good point because I hear, a lot of chatter online about we don't need to plan and we don't need, as entrepreneurs, just do it. You don't need a business plan. You don't need to, plan things out. You're overthinking. And I think we need to find a balance. What is overthinking and what is being smart and strategic? Because when you have a family, you have to make strategic decisions. And you can't just do the knee-jerk reactions and jump into something. When it comes to life, anything can happen at any moment. So imagine having a dedicated law firm available to help you, your family, or your business out of a tough spot before you actually need them. Prepaid Legal Services has helped people just like you deal with the unexpected since 1972. So for the cost of dinner, you can call them as many times as you need to help you deal with the things you never expected to happen. Just visit phenomenalboss.com to get started today. Now back to the episode. So at what point did you leave your job? Was there a breaking point for you with work? Because at this point you're having panic attacks. You're trying to balance so much. At what point did you leave your job? Like what was the breaking point for you? And then how did you figure out these 5-minute pockets? What did that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the breaking point was definitely one, the catalyst was the panic attack. 2 was realizing that I was already doing everything I could possibly do with my business to get it to where it was, but I had no extra time. It was like every single night, my husband's going to bed at 11 and he'd be like, you coming to bed? I'm like, no, I still got an hour. Plus I still have to, get the kids' lunches ready and like my time was suffocating me and I wasn't really living. And that's not what I wanted for my kids to see as an example. But I'll never forget. So we had gone on my birthday. My husband says, what do you want to do for your birthday? I love birthdays. And I take every single year, my birthday, I do not work on my birthday. And I said, for my birthday this year, I want to go to our accountant and I want to see if I have saved up enough money to quit my job. He's like, okay, that's what we're doing for your birthday. And so, we sat down with the accountant and he really just walked us through, okay, what are your expenses every single month? What is your average income that you're earning on a regular basis? The low months is super important because if you can live off the lowest month in your 12 months, then you should be okay. Just base your budget off that lowest month. And anything else that you earn above that lowest month, save. Pretend you didn't even earn it because then you always are building a nest egg. So it's probably the smartest advice I got given. So we did a calculation because there was Christmas coming up and lots of holidays. My husband and I were like, you know what? Let's quit on January 1st, make a clean break. You're good to go and work one more month, just December. So December 17th, I went into work and my boss tore a strip off me up and down. She was having a bad day. It was a toxic work environment that had been building and building. And that day I was the sacrificial lamb, if you will. And so I just looked at her and I just said, would you like my resignation today or January 1st? because either way, I will never be treated the way that you're treating me. And you have zero regard for people that work for you. And I thankfully have an escape plan. So what's it going to be? And she was like shocked, like, what? You're quitting? Like, I didn't want you to quit. I was like, like serve this as an example or a lesson, because everyone else is feeling the same way. They're looking for other jobs, but they didn't have an escape plan. I had an escape plan. I had saved up enough money to have 3 months of wages. So if things like, hit the fan, we would still be okay. Most people don't have that safety net. And so I like to think of when you're building a business, it's giving you that freedom to have a choice and to have options. It's giving you that voice that you can stand up for yourself and get out of a toxic situation. But it also allows you that confidence to be able to say, like, I don't need you, like whatever the situation is, whether it's an employer or a relationship or a situation, it just gives you the ability to kind of stand up a little bit taller, say what you need to say, and stand up for yourself and choose you, right? And I think that's the thing, is the choice. So pockets of your day, if you look back at when I started the business with a 1-year-old and pregnant with a second child, to when I was growing the business while I had a kid, each life situation is the same as even when you have a 16-year-old, right? Like you have those 5-minute pockets while you're waiting for your coffee, to pour, or while you're waiting for food to heat up in the microwave, or while you're waiting for the water to boil. Just in the kitchen alone, you have 5-minute pockets, while you're sitting, waiting for picking up the kids from sports or dance, or waiting for, the bus to arrive for the kids to be dropped off, or the school bell to come out. Those 5-minute pockets, if you were to sit down and write out your day minute by minute, you will find 5-minute pockets. And throughout your day, you probably have, 30 to 60 minutes that you can change your scroll to your income producing activities so you can grow consistently day by day by day to build it into something that can give you that freedom and that voice and those choices.
Absolutely. That is so important. And it's all about determination, because people can say, I don't have time, and they won't have the time because they've already convinced themselves that they are not going to have the time. And I think that's super key, to sit down and really kind of look at your day and say, well, what time? It doesn't look like I have time. I'm skeptical about what time I have, but let me map it all out. Let me put everything into perspective. Even people that commute, that's time that you can take and do something. And, little pockets of, you're at your kid's game and, you're waiting for the game to start. Instead of maybe socializing, maybe you could go off to a corner and, still a moment there. So I think people will see how their day unfolds when they map it all out. And it's all about determination, to be able to find those pockets of time. And to be able to sit there, and you have a lot of folks, I'm sure, in your office and in many offices that, when you were in your job, that, felt hopeless. Because if you don't empower yourself with options, you end up in a hopeless situation, because unfortunately, and this isn't talked about enough, like people are made to feel crappy in jobs. They're undervalued, they're already underpaid, and people are frustrated, but rarely do they kind of get up and empower themselves to find other options. So it's awesome that you can do that you did that for yourself. It's awesome that you're able to mentor other moms to do that as well. So let's talk about some of the things we mentioned in the beginning. We talked about Kate Moir, the mom. Let's talk about Kate Moir, the mentor. What does Kate Moir, the mentor, do?
Yeah, so the Momboss Mentor really helps moms go from stuck to allowing themselves to build their dream life. And so some people are trying to break free from that situation and need kind of an escape plan. So they need to build an escape plan, and they need the strategy on how to launch and build. So definitely helping people through that. There's other people who've already built and already left, and there's a period of like, what did I do? There's at least a season, if not a full 12 months, when you leave your job, everything for that next 12 months is your first time. It's your first January without having that guaranteed income. It's your first, holiday, whatever, vacation, being your own boss and not having vacation time, right? And so there's like kind of coaching that goes along to kind of help people navigate through those firsts, and giving them the reassurance and the tools and resources so they can come out on the other side. Because it's really easy to get stuck and frozen, like you said, in your mind, or kind of like think like, I can't do this. Our mind will always go to the negative. And so you need someone to kind of help you see the opportunity or the positive side of things. And then when people start to scale, like I think it's really important that even as an entrepreneur, diversified income is something that we should all have. And the reason for that is because what if one thing falls, you still have a backup plan. I had a 9-to-5 and a backup plan. I built that backup plan to a full time. So now I have another backup plan. Always having multiple streams of income to me gave a sense of security. So as people start to blossom or to grow or to expand, allowing them to find ways to systemize or duplicate so that they can work smarter, not harder, and spend less time, but earning the same rate of return. It depends on where you're at, is where we help you.
I love that you said, the multiple streams of income, because sometimes people think that means they need to operate multiple businesses, and they really just need to maximize their existing business to generate income. Whether it's through, having another stream, through affiliate marketing, but doing they have to look at what am I already doing and how can I maximize that? So I think that's an excellent point that you made. Now, you're also an international bestseller, right?
Yeah, kind of crazy. Happened like a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, so that's exciting because it's self-published or.
Yeah, so we kind of gathered. I was approached by an amazing person that has done a few books, and she reached out to 22 top entrepreneurs and said, "Hey, would you write a chapter and kind of share all your secrets, in a chapter?" And so mine is definitely in the 5-minute pockets, like building your business in the 5-minute pockets of your day. And so I went ahead and I gave my full list in the book, and I gave people like the nitty gritty on how to set goals that are tangible and then how to reach those goals in the 5-minute pockets of their day. And so it was kind of a neat experience, something that at first I said no. She asked me, I think 3 times because like, I'm sure. And I'm like, I don't feel like, I'm successful enough or I have enough to say like what I do, anyone can do. I just brushed it off. But in hindsight, it was sharing what most people are needing and desperate for, which is like, how can I fit this in every single day? Because consistency is probably the key factor in the people who have the most success. They do it every single day, even if they don't want to. They don't let life get into the way of building their business. They show up and it's a priority on their schedule. It's no different than brushing your teeth or brushing your hair or getting dressed for the day. An entrepreneur is going to show up to their business, consistently and strategically. And so that's what we did. So it's pretty neat experience and something that I'll probably do again because it was so rewarding to be able to share that with anyone.
And can you share with the audience the name of your book and where they can get it?
Yeah, so it's called 22 Entrepreneurs and Legacy Building Couples, and you can get it on Amazon. And so it's ships global, and it's just a pretty awesome book. Yeah, awesome. It's also on my link, which we can share in the comments.
And why don't you speak it out for the people that'll be listening on the podcast?
22.
No, where they can find you.
I was like,
so they heard where they could get the book. So where can they find you on the?
Yeah, so you can find me at I am Kate Moir. So I am Kate Moir, MOIR.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at the Momboss Mentor, and the podcast also the Momboss Mentor, and on YouTube, the Momboss Mentor. So it's kind of all over. Either I am Kate Moir or the Momboss Mentor. You can find me either way.
Now, the Momboss Mentor is a Facebook group, right? Is it a free Facebook group okay.
Yeah.
So folks want to join, they can just, go find the group on Facebook, join it, and be a part of the Mombosspreneur community.
So we do training every single Monday. We have guest speakers, free graphics, free guides, like tons of free downloads and training. It's just a community that other people that are mom bosses, whether you're in any industry, doesn't matter what industry you're in, are kind of looking at a community that's going to uplift them, support them, and give them that accountability.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about final words that your final word of advice you would give a mom who's probably breastfeeding, listening to this podcast, thinking like, okay, so I'm depleted of energy. I have to return to work or have to decide what I'm going to do. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to leave my kid. What would you say to that mom?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I feel you. And been there, done that. Don't want to go back. It's really, first of all, is to find somebody that's going to support you and to help you kind of navigate the brainstorming of your options. Because sometimes that's your spouse, sometimes it's a family member or a friend. And sometimes people feel so isolated, they don't know where to go to. And that's where we come in at the Momboss Mentors. We're your person, right? We want to help you create that plan and that strategy. But the next step is that you can do it, and it's not taking time away from your family. It's actually giving your family more time, more freedom, and more flexibility. So now we look at my life with 2 kids going into school. Okay, both are full-time school this year, coming in the fall.
Wow.
And to see the fact that, hey, they need a parent volunteer next Friday, I could do it. Hey, they forgot their lunch, I can run it in. I'm not an hour away and not being able to feed my child. To have that ability to say all summer, let's work in the morning and go to the pool in the afternoon. That flexibility and freedom is giving my family a quality of life that I never even dreamed of when I had that 1-year-old sitting in the nursing chair. So whatever your wildest dream is, you can build and create that vision and make it reality, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen without work. It's not going to happen without being consistent. And it's not going to happen unless you decide that it's going to happen. And so when we talk about the mind and our capacity, to dream, that's a step as well that a lot of people haven't been given the freedom or the ability or opportunity to dream that big or to visualize themselves in a different situation. And so, yeah, so I guess my biggest thing is like, believe it, dream it, and then let's create a strategy and actually do it. Okay, because I can only help so much, but I can't do it for people, right? I'm here to help somebody get through their breakthrough or get them to where they want to go, but they have to do the work. They have to want it for themselves.
And just because someone's isolated doesn't mean that support doesn't exist. And it's so wonderful that you're building a supportive community for the aspiring mom bosses out there. So that's so awesome. So I just want to thank you, Kate, for sharing your knowledge here on the Boss Experience podcast. And it's been exciting to spend this time with you and just to learn how you built your business.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I look forward to everyone tuning in for the next episode of the Boss Experience podcast. Take care and be well.
Did you know you can get funding for your business even if you're just starting out? We work hard every day to help businesses just like yours get the funding they need for marketing, expanding, or just to get through a rough time. So whether you are part of the gig economy, a freelancer, or you have a brick-and-mortar business, we can help you even if you were previously denied funding from the bank. You just need to be in business 3 months or more and earn at least $3,000 a month in revenue. No collateral is required, and we offer instant approvals in most cases. Remember, no matter how small your business is, we can help. Just visit fundsforsmallbusiness.com to get started today. Now, back to the episode.
Thank you for tuning in to the Boss Experience podcast. Don't forget to leave a review for this episode and tune in next time.